Welcome to Pit Cafe here on day 2 of the 2024 CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa Prologue, building up to the centenary edition of the world's biggest GT race. Once again, I'm your host, Jim Weeks, and tonight we have interviews, news, features from day 2 of the Prologue, and we're going to start by diving right into the interviews because we're joined by Mick Grenier, driver of the number 777 Almanar Racing by GetSpeed Mercedes AMG. Mick, how's the Prologue been for you?
First of all, good evening, everyone. It's been going well. We had all kind of weather, so light rain, lot of rain, drying track, and finally some dry track time. It was quite good. Obviously, we know the car quite well, so there's no major change, but it's always good to test here. The conditions are always a bit different. So yeah, it was a good test.
What sort of things have you been working on?
Mainly long run pace. Last year, some AMG teams struggle a bit on long run pace, so we try to improve that. There's a lot of pickup on the track after a few hours, so we try to get rid of that. So really consistency, no focus really on qualified because it's 24 hours. But we will see in June the temperature might be different a bit, so we might have to adjust again.
Had you raced with GetSpeed before this season?
Before the season, no, it's my first year with them. So I'm doing quite a lot with them this year. Obviously, I drive the AMG all the time, but it's my first year with them.
Yeah, so how is that adjustment going? How are you getting used to working with the team?
Well, I knew obviously the team, but from the outside, but it's a very nice group of people. The owner is still racing himself as well in some other championship, and all he wants is to win in every classes. So it's nice to drive for him, and it's a really nice team. We do also the Nordschleife together, so it's a good program.
Now, of course, in the last few seasons, you've been driving a pro car. This year, you're racing in Gold Cup. How does the approach change when you're going for a class win rather than the overall win?
To be honest, it's not really different. This year, that was the plan because I have some clash in the calendar, so I couldn't do the full GT World Challenge. And I also wanted to race with Almanar since some years. We tried, but we could never do it. So it's quite nice. Actually, Faisal is super quick, and we are 3 pro with him. So the goal is, I'm also part of the IGTC, so it's to score some point at the end of the race. So we need to be in the top 10, but we will try. We gave him a lot of lap here in the Prologue. He did very, very good long runs. So we will see.
Yeah, you've mentioned that you've got a really strong crew, really. It's practically a pro crew. So to what extent do you not so much focus on gold and just think about, okay, we finish as high as possible overall?
Well, for sure, the main target remains the Gold Cup. But as I said, I want to score points for IGTC. The team also wants to be in the front. We also have a pro car in the team. But Faisal has done some IGTC race in pro class before. He's done well. And we have Philippe Ellis joining us. Dominic also has a lot of experience, so we are really going flat out for the race, and then we will see at the end. But if you look at last year, for instance, Lello and Jules were with Timur, and they could still finish second, so anything is possible.
And you guys actually showed really good pace in the opening Endurance Cup round at Ploricar. You didn't quite win. I think, were you second there?
Second, yeah. Yeah, we had some issue in the pit stop, so we lost quite a bit of time, but that should be fixed now. And as I said, the pace was good. We also have a pro car in the team, so we all share the data. The team knows the car very well as well, and yeah, now we have to wait for a month and we see how it goes.
The Mercedes have been really fast during the Prologue. I noticed, I think they were top 5, top 6 were all Mercedes. So that's encouraging as well.
Well, I don't know if we were fast or if the others were playing, but because if you look the lap time from last year, and we've done more or less the same, and the others were quite a bit slower, so I think that will change. Obviously, we expect to be quick, but Porsche will be quick. Lambo is super strong this year. BMW will be, I think, one of the quickest cars. So we have to wait and see.
And finally, you've done Spa quite a number of times now. You've also done it in a few different cars, in the Lamborghini, in the Mercedes, and I think maybe in another brand?
The Jaguar.
The Jaguar, yeah. That's one for the collector's book. So what's the secret to success in this race, or what's the secret to having a good CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa?
Well, first of all, you need some good strategy. Need to be a bit lucky with the safety car for pit stop, and the brake change has to be done on full course yellow as well. You need to stay out of trouble because track position is super important here. And in terms of pace, you need to make sure that you can get the pickup out of the tire. It sounds maybe a bit weird for the people who don't know so much about this topic, but it can make a huge difference on lap times. And really staying out of trouble, but you have to push all the time.
Great, thank you very much, Mick.
Thank you so much.
Now we move from 2024 to 1924, a real change of pace there. As we welcome onto the stage Claude Evans, while he has written a... Hi, Claude. The writer of a new book, or one of the three writers of a new book, chronicling the 1924 24 hours of 24 hours of Francorchamps.
Absolutely,
correct. Quite a project. Could you tell us about that?
Well, first of all, the three authors are quite children of the circuit. Two of us were born nearly around the circuit. So we are very close to Spa-Francorchamps, and we've published a few books about the racetrack and about Belgian motorsport history. And we wanted to do something different. We knew there would be other books telling the story of the 24 hours over a whole century. So we wanted to focus on 1924 because nowadays you can buy nice yearbooks about Le Mans or Francorchamps, 24 hours. Nothing existed before. So we wanted to produce such a book, and I think we succeeded.
I think we have some images from the book that we can take a look at that perhaps Claude can talk us through. What are we seeing here, Claude?
Well, we're seeing a photograph of the three Citroëns who won the Coupe du Roi, the King's Cup, during the 1924 race, and a very nice picture on the right side, which shows a Lalicon, which was a French brand, at the Stavelot corner, which was at that time a hairpin. And that photo has a particular history because it was a glass plate that someone uncovered and that we could develop.
And I think as well we have something regarding the spectators, a spectator guide from 1924.
Absolutely, things were totally different, of course.
Yeah.
You could come to Francorchamps by train, which you can't do right now. So we did a lot of research into what the spectators' experience was when coming to the circuit, when watching the race. Where could you watch the race? In which circumstances could you do that? We also have nice anecdotes, like, for example, the very first VIP area on the circuit was sponsored by a shock absorbers brand. They had a footbridge, a wooden footbridge. That was the only way to go from one side of the circuit to the other. Wow. And it was the VIP area, and the main attraction was that the boss of the shock absorbers company served onion soup to his VIP guests. I don't think Mr. CrowdStrike would serve onion soup to his guests this year.
Maybe not. And I think finally we can take a look at perhaps the most impressive of these images, which is the race, the development of the race. How did you put that together?
Well, we had to read maybe 15 newspapers and magazines, find old photos showing the scoreboard, and by combining all those events, all those elements, we could develop that nice hour-by-hour chart, which is something you would find today in many magazines, which didn't exist 100 years ago, of course.
Could you tell me a bit more about the research that went into this? It must have been an incredible undertaking for all of you involved.
You need a good network of people who have nice collections of books, of photographs, of magazines, of newspapers, etc. You need a lot of passion too, because it requires a lot of work. But experience shows that when you produce such a book, and we've produced quite a few books in the last few years, the feedback you get from the readers is fantastic. So we do it for the readers just like the organizers do it for the fans at the race.
Are you a follower of the race in the modern era? Have you continued to watch?
Yeah. Except in 2020, of course.
Ah, yes, of course. So you're here every year?
I'm here every year.
And any particular editions recently that you've enjoyed?
It's difficult. I think the race that Eric van der Poel lost to Steve Soper, that was quite the most incredible finish. Yeah. Of course, the Ferrari finish 2 years ago was also incredible. But when I was a kid, a teenager, I think that battle between the two BMWs was really a landmark edition.
And the race has changed a huge amount in, let's say, the last 25, 30 years. Not just going from touring car to GT, but really coming back to a big international event.
We have seen quite some pretty poor editions in the past, in the late 90s, of course, and it's good for a local, for me, like me, to see that the circuit is fantastically alive and well, is evolving, is attracting new crowds, new young crowds, and especially in the last races I witnessed here, I saw a lot of youngsters.
Well, thank you very much, Claude. That's really fantastic. Now we can change pace, although we're going to stay with a Belgian theme. Gregory de Gulde has been in the pits, and he's found one of the drivers who will be competing in this year's CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa.
No, it's always great to come back to Spa. It's one of our favorite tracks, I guess, for every driver. It's always great fun out here.
Yeah, indeed, Jim. I'm here with Sarah Bovy, one of the Iron Dames at CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa. Sarah, welcome back at Spa. It must be a pleasure.
Yeah, it's always so cool to be here in Spa. You know, it's always a pleasure to race in the home track. Obviously, the 24 Hours of Spa is the race that made me passionate about endurance racing. So I think it's going to be my 7th participations, and I cannot wait. I mean, the team feels ready. We feel ready. So yeah, I'm looking forward to be there at the end of June.
The context is a bit different because you're not participating in the full season. You're only doing Spa this year. How does that change the preparation?
Yeah, of course, we don't do the full season in GT World Challenge. We know a bit less about the competitors. But you know, now that we have also GT3 cars in WEC and ELMS, it's less of you know, a transition between the cars. Obviously, those 2 days of testing were very helpful to understand a little bit where is the pace, where we are, what we need to work on. Yeah, it's going to be a different approach. But you know, in the past I came here without any days of testing, without anything. So I feel way more ready than I've been in the past, for sure.
Talking about opposition, the Bronze Cup with 22 cars, really the place to be.
Yeah, I think the name of the Bronze Cup is not the best name, but it's nice to see the enthusiasm for the cup. It's nice to see the enthusiasm from the race. We announced yesterday 67 cars, 22 will be in our class. So I think that for sure there will be some very, very strong car out there in the Bronze Cup and in all the other categories. But you know, it was already the case when we won it 2 years ago, so I think we need to stay calm, focus, work hard and see where we can end up. For sure we are coming here for a result. We want to bring to the Lamborghini some good result now in this season, so we'll push hard.
And then finally, RACB Driver of the Year in 2023. That gives you wings, I presume.
Yeah, it's still a bit hard to believe for me. You know, it was an amazing honor to get this title, especially knowing all the talents we have in Belgium. I've said it in the past, I say it again. I have massive respect for all those Belgian drivers that are racing here in hypercars, in rally. You know, we have a lot of talents in the country. Well, yeah, you know, for 1 year being considered as like the one of the year was really heartwarming, and yeah, I still cannot believe it. I try to be at the level of what is expected from me now.
Okay, Sarah Bovy, a force to be reckoned with in the Bronze Cup this year, I'm sure.
Thank you very much for that, Greg. Now, changing pace. Fuel is an essential component in every racing car, and this year, Fanatec GT Europe and the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa are using a new biofuel. That's Excellium Racing 100 from Total Energies, and that debuted this year at our opening round at Circuit Paul Ricard.
Box, fuel only, box. Stop on your marks, fuel only. 5 seconds, be ready.
C'est la première course en fait avec ce nouveau carburant.
Great job on the fuel.
L'Excellium Racing 100, donc c'est un carburant de compétition 100% certifié durable. C'est un carburant qui est issu de la biomasse, donc des résidus, des déchets que l'on transforme pour réaliser in fine un carburant de compétition. L'Excellium Racing 100 permet une réduction des émissions de CO2 d'à minima 65% sur le cycle de vie du produit.
La question environnementale est chaque jour plus prenante. Il est normal que le sport automobile s'adapte.
Motorsport is traditionally such a good proving ground for technology, and the fuel is the heart of everything. We can put straight in the car with no modifications. The testing that we've done at Lamborghini we've seen the performance figures matching.
For us, it's just a product that we use, and the car still goes around, and luckily we're still quite quick. So
with the new fuel, in the end, for us drivers, doesn't change anything. I even don't feel anything different compared to last year. And together with more sustainability, for sure, this is a big step forward.
Le niveau de performance reste super élevé. Ça montre bien qu'en réalité, il pourra être à terme également utilisé dans les voitures de tous les jours et donc réduire considérablement l'impact écologique.
It's obviously good to take a step forward in the technology and no difference to me as a driver.
Au final, c'était largement positif le retour des équipes.
Super important that motorsport is leading the way, showing an example. It's a clean fuel, it's having no negative impact, so it's an amazing job.
And we're delighted to be joined now by Thomas Fritsch, who is the Motorsport Technical Manager from Total Energies. Thomas, could you just start by telling us what was the motivation behind the development of this new biofuel?
At Total Energy, we try to bring more sustainability to the motorsport like we do for our daily customers, and I think that was the main driver while helping the championship and the competitors.
What kind of challenges are there when developing something like this?
A lot, because it's new technology, so finding just the enough amount of and be able to produce the amount of this fuel, that was obviously the biggest challenge, and to be transparent for the competitors, like regarding performance and reliability.
And I think we can learn a bit more about this now. We've got a video that we can show that will help us learn. Thomas, perhaps you can talk us through what we're seeing on the screen now.
Yeah, with pleasure. So when we produce this biofuel, we start with what we call biomass, so like vegetal waste. So in this example, we took the grapes, the wine industry. When you press the grapes, you get some marc and lees. That's the final waste. And we transform that waste into ethanol. And you can say that I stop at the ethanol step, I put ethanol in my car. But the problem we have while endurance racing is that we have to manage consumption. So we push the process the next step. And our R&D team just designed a new process to be able to transform that into regular fuel. So it's completely transparent for the car. You just have to redo your mapping like you do for every racing fuels, but you have no change on engine hardware.
How has working with SRO helped you to develop this? Have you worked closely with the organization?
Yeah, of course, it's very important, because when you introduce such new products, such breakthrough, you have to be sure about technical compatibility and also, championship compatibility, including financial also for the team. So it was a very strong hand-to-hand work with SRO.
And are you working with the teams as well? Is there any collaboration with them to ensure that, I mean, as you mentioned, they want to know that they're getting essentially the same product in terms of performance?
Yeah, and that's the big challenge, because when you release such product on the track, you cannot test with a proper team or proper manufacturer, because you will give them an advantage compared to the other. So we have our own resources, dynos, test benches to prove this product, and of course, final step is track testing.
And I would assume that some of the lessons you're learning from this motorsport technology are being transferred into road car fuel. It's almost like a real-world laboratory.
Yeah, of course. That's, I would say, one of our big catchphrases. The track is our lab. And it's a very core value for Total Energies, because, at our R&D center, those are the same people who develop race fuel and, I would say, road fuels. So in order to maximize the transfer of technology, it's very, very important for us. And that reduces the time to bring new technology on the road.
And we're here at the Prologue for the 2024 CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa, which will be the Centenary. It must be particularly gratifying to have launched this fuel in time for the Centenary. It's a special time to be involved.
Yeah, of course. We are a part of this of the new story, of this new celebration. I would say the fuel is part of the celebration, but it's very important for us also to renew our long partnership with SRO, and to continue to work hand to hand and to help each other to push the future of motorsports.
Well, that's brilliant. Thank you, Thomas. And as we mentioned, all of the drivers competing in this year's CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa will be using the new Excellium Racing 100 fuel. And Greg has caught up with one of them in the pits.
Yes, Jim, I'm here with Nikki Thiim back in Spa after last year's podium with Audi, back with Aston Martin. Nikki, a new car, a new Vantage. Is this the car that can give Aston Martin its first victory since 1948?
Yeah, I think it's about time. Now with this new awesome team come to you, we are in the cooperation with Aston Martin, obviously, and the new Evo car. Such a beautiful car, and yeah, I think it got the full package to deliver the victory. But yeah, we all know there's a lot of other guys out there that want to do the same. But we are fully prepared, and yeah, just can't wait to get on with it.
You've been on the podium here 3 times. You've won your class, but you never won overall. How much of a bucket listing is it to win at Spa?
Yes, it's as a GT driver, I think this is the toughest 24-hour race there is out there. So yeah, what can I say? It's clearly on the top of the list, still to be done before I finish my career. So yeah, I'm gonna do everything, and I think, again, I said before, we got the full package to do it from Aston Martin, and this team come to you.
People know you as a spectacular driver. We all remember your fight here with Gilles Gounon in 2022 and the spin you had in Eau Rouge. I guess you remember it as well.
Yeah, it was exciting. What was it? Yeah, obviously right at the end, also fighting for the win with good old Jules. Yeah. So, yeah, what can I say? As I said in the interview after the race, I'm not going to lift. This is go hard or go home. Either you win it or you bin it. Luckily, I didn't hit anything. So, yeah. But anyway, that's what we're here for. We're here to fight, and I'm here to go to war. And there's only one thing on my mind, and it's definitely a memory. Obviously, it was not so successful, but it's a memory I will keep forever.
Thank you, Nikki. My guess is that Nikki Thiim will be involved in a lot of battles next month during the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa.
Thank you, Greg. Always good to catch up with Nikki Thiim. And we're joined now by another driver who will be contesting this year's CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa. Fran Rueda, welcome.
Hello, thank you.
You're the 4th driver in the number 27 Optimum Motorsport McLaren, along with Mark Radcliffe, Ollie Milroy, Rob Bell. This is your only race of the season in the championship, so the prologue must have been particularly important for you. How did it go?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was a challenge as usual. The weather at Spa is always changing, and it's very unpredictable. But I think, especially today, we collected some useful data. I obviously have some experience from the McLaren before. I did Silverstone 500 this year, also with the same tires. So it was good. We collected the data we wanted. Maybe I would have preferred to do a bit more dry running yesterday instead of the typical change in weather in Spa. But even if it's a race, it's in June. I think it's quite unpredictable even in June. So it's always useful.
Yeah, absolutely. Was there anything particular you guys were focusing on, or was it more general?
Well, I think standard in preparation for a 24-hour race, focusing on first performance, and then obviously having a reliable car, a safe car to do longer stints. I think that was the goal.
This is not your first CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa. You were here last year with Inception Racing, run by Optimum Motorsport, of course. That didn't go to plan.
No, that didn't go to plan, unfortunately. As some viewers may remember, I was crawling, trying to get the car back into the pits. We had an electrical issue, and yeah, it finished early for me. All my teammates did one stint, and then as soon as I got into Le Combe, the car failed, and that was over, really, yeah.
But Optimum did win in the Gold Cup last year, so we know they're a team that can get the job done at this race.
Yeah, I think they've proven that they can win this race as they did last year. Ollie Milroy also won Gold Cup a few years ago with running Inception with Optimum. So from a team point of view, I think we are in safe hands.
Tell me a bit about your teammates. What are the strengths of the guys you're sharing with?
Well, I think they have the pros, Ollie Milroy, and which is a silver like me, and Rob Bell, which is the pro. They have plenty of experience, especially Rob. it's great to share the car with them. And then the bronze driver is Mark Radcliffe, which I've seen racing before, and it's also quite impressive. So I think we have a pretty strong lineup for this race.
The Bronze Cup is quite a specific class. What's, in your perspective, what's the way to get a good result in Bronze Cup?
Well, I think first of all, in general, you need to stay out of trouble. You need to survive, especially, into the night and after the night. And I think mainly it's just not making any silly mistakes, trying to not do, track limits, because last year I obviously watched the race after calling it early, but there was a lot of drivers getting track limit penalties. So, I mean, you have to be fast, but you also have to think about what you're doing on track and try and stay safe during the first, well, it's just a long race. The first 20 hours, I would say, and then if you are there in the mix the last 4 hours, just give it all and try to get the win. Tell
us about the McLaren. Is it suited to Spa, or what are its characteristics that work well at this circuit?
I think it's a good car around this track. High-speed corners is quite stable, which is obviously very handy in Eau Rouge and Blanchimont, for example. So from a car point of view, I think we're also in. I'm driving the McLaren, which I think will be competitive in the class. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you very much, Fran, for joining us. Fran, like all of the drivers competing in this year's race, will be using Pirelli tyres. And earlier on today, I headed down to their fitting area in the paddock to learn a bit more about that operation. We're in the Pirelli fitting area with Pirelli Circuit Activities Manager Matteo Braga. Matteo, the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa is a huge event for Pirelli.
Yeah, it's the biggest event in the year. It's not only about the 24-hour, but all the races and the support races that we are doing the weekend and the weekend before during the Speed Week, all promoted by SRO here in Spa.
What sort of work is taking place here? Take people behind the scenes and explain exactly what happens.
Okay, behind the scenes, let's say that our work starts from the development of the products, that obviously they have to be designed to cope with the characteristic of the circuits, the characteristic of the race, that is at 24 hours, and the cars.
How many sets of tires per car for the 24 hours?
By regulation, every car has a maximum of 30 sets of slick tires, so for dry conditions. And the wet are unlimited, just because the weather conditions are unpredictable, and you can always have very often changes between dry and wet, so we don't know how many wets we can use.
Do you know roughly how many tires in total Pirelli is bringing for the 24 hours?
But average, considering all the events that we support during the week, we have around 15 to 17,000 tires on the field.
So we're now in the checking area. This is something that you will not see on the TV, but it's such an important part of the process for Pirelli getting the tires to the teams. Matteo, can you explain to us, show us how this works?
Yeah, basically this is the welcome area to our fitting area. So where the teams, they come and they need one set of tires, they just need to tap on the screen. They can select their team, place a new order, which set of tires they want, dry or wet. They send it, sign, print, and automatically, okay, they have a receipt, but the order goes to the next station, that is the fitting area. The fitters, they know that the car needs that set, so they take tires from our stock. They use our scanners to match the barcodes of that tires to the order, and then it is done.
And how long does this process take, from the team making the order to taking the tires away? How long?
It depends how busy is the fitting area, but we measure sometimes that we deliver a tire every 10 seconds. So the peak hour during the 24 hour, we have to restock the full grid, so means 67 sets in less than 1 hour, because you have to consider as well the time of transporting the tires from the F1 pit to the fitting area and back again. So basically in 40 minutes we have to fit 67 sets.
Thank you to Matteo Braga for showing us around the fitting area today. It really is an impressive facility, and when you think about it, there are so many tires used during this race, not just during the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa, but in the support races. So it really is a huge operation down there. We're joined now by a man with an incredible passion for the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa, Maxime Potta. And you're here to talk about your collection of model cars. I understand you have something in the region of 1,500 model cars. Could you tell us a bit about this collection?
Sure. Hi, Jim. I used to collect cars since 15 years now, so I was contacted by all the team here to bring some of my models during the 24 hours. So, I used to buy it at first, and now I'm used to make them myself. So I build them from parts of other cars, of other models, or the decorations, and I do the decals and everything, so I can complete my collection of cars that was never built before.
Could you tell me how this passion got started? And perhaps, maybe you don't remember, but do you know what the first car you got was?
Oh, it was maybe a toy car from my parents, of course. But the most intense memories are, of course, my first time in Spa. It was in 2002. During the GT era, and I fell in love with the Lister Storm back at the time with the Jaguar V12. So I used to come at Spa for the 24 hours before any other races. So I fell in love first with the touring car era, because I missed that part of the history, but I was always in love with the British Touring Car Championship and all the races or championship based on that regulation. So with BMW, which is one of my favorite manufacturer, the 24 hours were the perfect race to complete my shelves at home. Sure.
And you've brought with you here a car that you have made yourself. I mean, this is a very famous car from the history of the 24 Hours of Spa. Could you tell us about that and about making it, about putting it together yourself?
Yeah, it was a little bit like being Dr. Frankenstein, because I built it from part and scrap from other models. So basically, it's a road car, which I switched to a race car, and it's the Peugeot 806 from the 95 race, which was retired during, I think, after a crash with one of the BMWs. So basically, it's a road car. You just paint it. You need to find the correct wheels and the decals. The decals were made 20 years ago now from some little small passionate, and it wasn't built yet. So it's difficult to have it on your collection, but it's gonna change soon, because Spark just announced that this car will be part of the exclusive collection in partnership with SRO and with the 24 Hours of Spa in next month.
Yeah, you make a good point that SRO has recently come to a new agreement with Spark Models to produce replicas of cars from the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa, and in fact Spark will have a store on site during the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa. Could you tell us about some of your other favorites from your collection?
Yeah, I had something about BMW for all that years, like I said. So here you can see one of my favorite decoration, which is for me the most representative of the 90s, which is with the Bastos and Fina combination on the many teams back in the days with Juma first, and then Bigazzi, Schnitzer, and of course Ravanelli. So for me the car that represents the most, and look, it's magic, it's here, and the most iconic cars for me about the 24 Hours was maybe those cars, those era. Yeah. Maybe not the most competitive, but maybe one of the most significant for me.
And do you have some of the recent cars, maybe from the last 5 years, the last 10 years, the GT3 cars?
Sure, of course. With the 25th victory of BMW, I've got some of them. But I'm looking for others too, and I'm waiting for Spark to do a great job like usual, because they already released some of the cars from the previous editions. But maybe the 2021 Ferrari, for example.
That is a particularly good car, and I think Greg in the pits has caught up with one of the drivers of that car from 2021.
Yeah, Jim, I'm here of course, I'm with Alessandro Pier Guidi after a year of absence. Alessandro, we missed you, but it must be good to be back.
Yes, of course, it's always great to be here. It's the greatest championship for GT3 probably in the world, and it's nice to be back. I left winning the championship, so I will try to repeat again, but I know how difficult it is, and but of course, it's a pleasure to be here.
Let's talk about your victory here at Spa in 2021 and the decisive overtake at 10 minutes from the end. What do you remember of that special race?
Of course, it's a nice memory. I saw that video many times, that overtake many times. It's always great to see. And of course, Spa 24 is always one of the biggest races in the world. So it's amazing to win this kind of racing. and also is a key for winning the championship. So it will be very important to perform well here in 1 month.
We can see the 296 GT3 Ferrari behind you. This is the second year of the car. I guess big ambitions.
Of course, at the end the car needs development. We do quite a good job before the starting of the racing, but then you know when the race starts, you explore different aspects compared testing, and the first year we learn better the car, and I think now we are in a better shape, better knowledge of the car, and let's see what we can do.
They are in very good shape, and maybe a 5th victory for Ferrari, who knows?
Thank you, Greg. Now, earlier today, I caught up with the CEO of Circuit Spa-Francorchamps, Amaury Bartolomé. We are here with Amaury Bartolomé, the CEO of Circuit Spa-Francorchamps. Amaury, Circuit Spa-Francorchamps has been in operation for over 100 years. Could you tell us a little bit about the evolution of the circuit during that long period?
Yeah, indeed. Hi everybody. Thanks for the invitation. Yeah, Spa-Francorchamps is like an old lady, as we say in French. So yeah, the circuit has known a lot of evolutions. I'm going to mention some of these. The first one would be, I think, at the end of the 70s. Before that, the circuit was longer, a bit more than 14 kilometers. And at the end of the 70s, because of safety reasons, it has been decided to shorten the circuit, and now it's a 7 kilometers circuit, as we all know. At that period, it was a semi-permanent circuit. I remember that because I'm from Stavelot. The circuit is located in Stavelot, very small municipalities close to Francorchamps. And I remember being in the car with my parents and driving from Stavelot to Francorchamps on the track, which was, of course, very exciting for the kid I was, watching the F1 Grand Prix or the 24 hours at the television, and then a week after driving on the track. But anyway, the next big evolution was in 2007 with the construction of the pit building, the current pit building, new pit lane, new chicane also, and more recently in 2022 we achieved an ambitious investment plan in order to be compliant with the FIM C grade, because we now host the Endurance World Championship in bikes, in motorbikes. So lots of works on the runoffs, to expand the runoffs, new curbs, and also new grandstands, because the two new grandstands on the top of the Rédillon, but also between La Source and Eau Rouge, have been built 2 years ago.
Well, you mentioned the grandstands, and that leads me on to my next question. What sort of work is done to enhance the fan experience here at Spa-Francorchamps?
Well, we all know that when people come to Spa-Francorchamps, they have very high expectations. And that's logical, because we are, of course, the most beautiful track of the world, as we say. And so we have to meet the needs of the fans, but also of the teams, of the championships, but of everybody, also the people working around and making it possible for us to run on track. So yeah, indeed, we have an investment plan which has been decided last year, covering 2024 to 2028. And yeah, I just mentioned the new grandstands, but also huge work on the sound system, and a lot of small actions that put together improve the experience of the fans. That's our duty, just to welcome fans properly. Yeah.
Spa-Francorchamps it's a huge facility. Could you tell me a bit about the organization behind running the circuit? How many staff are working here, for example?
Well, Spa-Francorchamps is like an SME, it's there are 40 people working permanently for the circuit. 40 people, 12 people at the workshop, which is not a mechanical workshop. You know, it's in order to maintain the site, also to repair the track during the races, for example, to replace guard rails. So electricians, gardener, painter, plumber, and so on. And so a bit less than 30 people for all the other services. Of course, the track safety with the race control, so 5 people dedicated to the track safety, logistic service, and also all the administrative services, commercial, communication, finance, and so on. So 40 people working for the circuit, and I don't know if you know, but the circuit is busy from mid-March to mid-November every day. So that's a lot of events. I think, yeah, 26 races or sport meeting this year. So that's that's a heavy agenda. So 40 people is not so many people for that mission.
Turning to the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa, do you see an enthusiasm for the race, and particularly the Centenary race, in the local area around the circuit?
Yeah, we do, absolutely. That's, you know, the 24 hours of Spa is very important in the region. Of course, it's a very old race, Centenary race, so everybody has something related to that race. So a lot of enthusiasm in the region, also a lot of activities linked to the race. Of course, we all know, and the people before me at the Pit Café explained how captivating will be the race, of course, of the 24 hours in 1 month, but also the animations off track will be amazing, with a great program prepared by the teams of SRO. But there will be also animation outside the track, and I'm going to give 2 examples. The first one, of course, is the parade, the traditional parade. But this year, this parade will go through the old track, so Burnanville, Masta, Stavelot, and then heading to the city center of Spa like every year. So it's always very crowdy, very popular, this parade. And another example is the temporary exhibition at the Abbey of Stavelot. You know, Stavelot is very close to the circuit, and there is the museum of the circuit there in the Abbey, with a temporary exhibition on the 24 hours, of course, with 12 exceptional cars, with some of them having won the 24 hours in the past. So Aston Martin, Bentley, BMW, of course, Ford, Capri, Honda, Toyota, and so on. So a very nice exhibition. So yeah, I think that the whole region is really excited about that event.
Finally, how much are you looking forward to hosting the Centenary CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa?
Yeah, of course, it's you know, a very important moment of the season here at Spa. So all the services of the circuit are so proud to be part of that moment. So yeah, we are working very hard in order to make the circuit fit for purpose.
Amari, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Great to speak to Amari Bartolome earlier on today. Now, you can probably see to my side the posters for the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa Centenary Edition. We're surrounded by 4 of them. There's actually 10 in the process of being launched. I think we've done 6 so far, each featuring a different brand. 9 manufacturers that are competing this year, as well as an extra special one at the end. And you can purchase those online from the official CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa merchandising page. There's far more than posters on there. As you can see on the screen now, there's everything from mugs, T-shirts, this poster of all the winners, which is absolutely fantastic. So a lot of stuff you can get there. It's not just at the website you can get that. There will be stores on site during the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa full of merchandise available to purchase. Now, we should probably talk about some of the times from the Prologue. I don't think we've really mentioned the competitive order yet. Yesterday morning, Dries van Thor was fastest with a 2 minutes 18.0. Benjamin Goethe was quickest in the afternoon. He was a little bit slower because we had heavy rain. That was a 2 minute 18.8. Jules Gounon, this morning, 2 minutes 17.9. And then this afternoon, the fastest time of all was Fabian Schiller, 2 minutes 17.4 in the number 2 Mercedes-AMG Team Get Speed car. And we spoke to him earlier about his performance at the Prologue.
It's always great to come back to Spa. It's one of our favorite tracks, I guess, for every driver. It's always great fun out here. And yeah, we had 2 productive days, a little bit compromised by the weather, but yeah, we could go through our work and prep well for the upcoming race.
And that about wraps it up for the Pit Cafe from this year's CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa Prologue. We'll be back at Spa-Francorchamps for Speed Week, which features British GT, French GT and more. That runs the week before the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa. And Pit Cafe will return from Tuesday the 25th of June with a live broadcast from Spa-Francorchamps, and there'll be further broadcasts during race week. The race itself taking place on the 29th and 30th of June. But for now, thank you very much for joining me, Jim Weeks, on Pit Cafe. We'll see you for the Centenary CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa.